"We're not coming to your destination wedding, too expensive," Mom said. Tickets were $400, but they flew to my sister's bachelorette in Dubai. $6,000 each. Hers was important. I got married anyway, in Bora, with 12 friends. When they saw the photos, crystal water, Overwater bungalow, private chef, Mom texted, "Why didn't you tell us it was nice?" I replied, "My name is Sylvia. I'm 31, I'm a photographer, and I'm the kind of daughter my family likes to describe as independent, in that tone that really means convenient. I'm the oldest, which in my family means I'm the backup adult, the one who figures things out, the one who doesn't need anything." My mom Linda loves to tell people, "Sylvia's always been fine, she's strong." My sister Aya is 27. Ava is the one who deserves things. Ava is the one who gets surprise parties and big speeches and just because gifts. I'm not saying my parents hate me. I'm saying my parents treat my life like a group project they didn't sign up for, and Ava's life like a movie premiere. I'd been with my fiancé Mark for 4 years when we got engaged. Mark is calm in a way my family isn't. He doesn't escalate, he doesn't perform, he just watches and remembers. We were sitting on my couch when I called my mom to tell her we'd picked a wedding plan. Not a date yet, not even a venue, just the plan. Small, simple. A destination wedding, because, honestly, if I was going to spend money, I wanted it to feel like an experience, not like renting a room with beige carpet and chicken that tastes like sadness. My mom answered on the third ring. "Hi, honey," she said, already distracted. I could hear dishes clinking. A TV in the background. "Hey," I said. "Mark and I are thinking destination wedding." A pause. Then she did that little laugh. The one that's not joy, it's warning. "Oh, Sylvia, no." "What?" I blinked like she could see me. "We're not coming to your destination wedding," she said, like she was reading a weather report. "Too expensive." I sat up. "I didn't even tell you where." "It doesn't matter where," she snapped. "It's a destination. That means flights, hotels, time off. We're not made of money." Mark muted the TV and looked over at me. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Okay, but we're talking about something affordable, like normal flights." My mom sighed like I was exhausting her. "Sylvia, I'm telling you now so you don't get your hopes up," she said. "We're not doing it." There was a beat of silence where my brain did that thing where it tries to make it not hurt. Then my dad's voice floated in, muffled but clear enough. "Tell her we'll send a gift." My mom repeated it brighter. "We'll send a gift. We'll celebrate when you get back." I felt my face get hot. "So you're not even going to consider it?" I said. "Honey," she said, "don't make this dramatic." I actually laughed. One sharp sound. "Right," I said, "because I'm the dramatic one." Then she hit me with the line that still makes my stomach drop when I think about it. "You know," she said, "this is why people just get married in a church. Like normal." I stared at my wall, at the little framed photos from shoots I'd done. Couples crying happy tears, parents hugging their kids, families showing up. I swallowed. "Okay," I said quietly. "Good to know." Mom immediately softened her voice, like she'd done something reasonable and I was the one being weird. "Just plan what you want, sweetie," she said. "Don't plan around us." That sentence is a lie people tell when they want you to stop asking. I ended the call politely, because that's my default, because I was trained to be mature while my sister got to be emotional. When I put my phone down, Mark looked at me and said, "Do you want to talk about it?" I opened my mouth, and nothing came out because what I wanted to say was, "I'm not surprised." What I wanted to say was, "She didn't even ask where." What I wanted to say was, "I already know how this ends." But I didn't know yet how hard my mom was going to commit to that too expensive story. Not until I saw what she'd spend money on when it was Ava. Not until I got married anyway. Not until Bora. And not until my mom saw the photos and suddenly decided my wedding was nice. That's when she texted me, "Why didn't you tell us it was nice?" And that's when I finally replied with the truth I'd been swallowing for years. Here's the pattern in my family. If Ava wants something, it becomes a family priority. If I want something, it becomes a discussion, a debate, a budget meeting, a morality play about how I'm selfish for asking. When I was 16, I got accepted into a summer photography program. It wasn't even expensive. A couple $100s. I'd saved most of it babysitting. I remember bringing the brochure to my parents at the kitchen table. My mom barely looked up from her coffee. "That's cute," she said, "but college is coming. Don't waste money. 2 weeks later, Ava wanted dance lessons, and suddenly my parents found money like it was hiding under the couch cushions. My dad said, she has potential. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, and I don't? I left for college with student loans and a camera I bought used off Craigslist. Ava got help with tuition because she picked a practical major. I became a photographer anyway. Not famous, not rich, but steady. Weddings, events, brand shoots, families. I worked weekends and holidays. I edited photos at 2 a.m. while my friends posted brunch pics. My parents liked to brag about me when it sounded impressive. My daughter's a photographer, my mom would say. But the second money came up, their tone changed. Must be nice to just take pictures. Are you making real money yet? You should get a normal job with benefits. And then Ava. Ava bounced from dream to dream while my parents funded every pivot. She tried influencer life. My mom paid for ring lights and a new phone. She tried yoga teacher training. My dad paid the deposit. She tried grad school because everyone's doing it. My parents co-signed the loans. Anytime I pointed out the imbalance, my mom would say, "Stop keeping score." But the funniest part? When my parents needed help, suddenly I was the responsible one. They'd call me when the car needed repairs, when they needed help choosing insurance, when my aunt was sick and they needed someone to handle things. Ava was always too stressed, or too busy, or going through something. So when Mark and I got engaged, I already knew how the wedding conversation would go. Still, I tried. Not because I thought they'd change, because part of me still wanted the version of parents I see in my clients' photos, the ones who show up. We didn't want a huge wedding. Mark hates being the center of attention. I'm around weddings constantly. The last thing I wanted was to spend $30,000 on chair covers and a DJ who yells, "Let's go," into a microphone. We wanted something small, warm, intentional. We started looking at places that weren't insane. Mexico, Hawaii, even Florida. And then a friend sent me this deal for Bora. It wasn't cheap, but it was one of those, if you book early and go off-season things. Mark and I ran the numbers. We could do it. Not lavish, not celebrity. Just us. And a small group. 12 friends said yes almost immediately. People I've known for years. People who've seen me work myself into the ground. People who didn't treat my milestones like optional entertainment. They were like, "Are you serious? Bora? Yes. My friend Tasha said, if I'm spending money on a trip, I want it to be somewhere stunning. And I want it to be for someone I love. That sentence hit harder than it should have, because I realized my own mother had never said anything like that to me. I called my parents again with more details, still trying to be fair. I said, "Okay, I checked flights. If we do it this way, tickets are about $400 if you book now." My mom didn't miss a beat. "Absolutely not," she said. "Mom," I said, $400 isn't— "Oh my God, Sylvia," she snapped. "Don't argue with me." My dad took the phone. "Look," he said, voice flat. "We're not flying somewhere for a wedding. We're not doing that. End of story." I felt my throat tighten. "You flew to Aunt Renee's wedding in Arizona," I said. "That was different," he said immediately. "Why?" "It was family," he said, like I was slow. I stared at my phone. "I'm family," I said. Then my mom grabbed the phone back and said something that made my jaw go tight. "Sylvia, you always do these extra things." "Extra?" I repeated. "Yes," she said. "You could have a normal wedding, but you want to make it about you." "About me, my wedding." "Make it about me." Mark washed my face while I listened. He mouthed, "Are you okay?" I wasn't. I just didn't want to give my mom the satisfaction of hearing me crack. So I said, "Okay, don't come." And I hung up. After that, the family messaging started. My mom would text, "Just remember, if you do this destination thing, don't be mad when people can't come." My aunt texted a sad emoji and said, "Your mom says it's too far." My dad said nothing, which is his specialty. Ava didn't call me at all. Not congrats, not tell me about the plan, nothing. Then, 2 months later, Ava finally texted, not about my wedding, about her bachelorette. It was a screenshot of a group chat titled, "AVA does Dubai." She wrote, "OMG, Sylv, can you take pics for the announcement? Also, guess where we're going?" I blinked at the screenshot. Dubai. I literally typed, "Dubai?" and stared at it. She replied, "Yes. Like a girl's trip. It's gonna be iconic." Then my mom called me, excited like a teenager. Did you see Ava's plans? She gushed. Yeah, I said carefully. Dubai. Oh my God, I know, she squealed. We're so proud of her. I waited. My mom kept talking. We're going too, obviously, she said. Your father and I? We can't miss it. My brain stalled out. You're going, I repeated. Yes, she said. It's important. I gripped my phone. Mom, I said slowly. You told me you can't fly to my wedding because tickets are $400. Silence. Then she said, annoyed, Sylvia, don't start. I'm not starting. She exhaled sharply. Ava's is different, she said. How? I asked, voice rising. Is a bachelorette party in Dubai different than my wedding? My mom's voice got cold. Hers is important, she said. There it was, the thing they never say out loud until they slip. Important. Not mine. Not me. Ava. I could feel my eyes sting. My mom heard the pause and softened again, like she was doing damage control. Sweetie, don't be jealous, she said. It's not a good look. Jealous. Like I was upset about the destination. The luxury. No. I was upset about the message. I hung up before I cried. Mark found me in the kitchen staring at my coffee like it personally betrayed me. He said, What happened? I said, They're flying to Dubai. He just stared. For Ava, I added. He said, And they won't pay $400 for your wedding. I nodded. Mark didn't yell, he didn't rant. He said one sentence. Then they don't get to be part of it. And I wanted to be strong and agree immediately. But I still had that stupid little hopeful part of me that kept whispering, maybe they'll regret it. Maybe they'll show up last minute. Maybe they'll realize they're being cruel. Spoiler, they didn't. They did something worse. They acted like my wedding was irrelevant. Until it looked expensive in photos. We got married in Bora anyway. No drama. No speeches about family is everything. Just sunlight and warm air and our friends laughing in the background. While I tried not to cry during my vows. I didn't walk down an aisle in a church. I walked barefoot on sand. Tasha held my bouquet. Mark's best friend Dean kept whispering, Bro, don't faint. I'm a photographer, so I'm used to being behind the camera. For once, I was in the frame. And it felt calm. No tension. No eggshell feeling. No watching my mom's face for approval. Our friends showed up like it mattered. They wore linen and brought little gifts that fit in suitcases. Someone brought mini sunscreen bottles as wedding favors as a joke. We ate dinner under string lights by the water. Private chef. Yes. Because we weren't feeding 150 people. We were feeding 14. We had one Overwater bungalow for the ceremony photos. Not because we were trying to flex, but because it was literally cheaper than doing a big traditional wedding back home. I posted a few photos a week later. Nothing crazy, just a carousel. Mark and me smiling, ocean behind us. A group shot with our friends. A photo of our dinner table with candles. And one shot of the water so clear it looked fake. I didn't tag my family. I didn't write a caption calling anyone out. I just wrote, We did it! Married. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing. First, Ava, OMG girl, you went to Bora? Then my aunt. Wow, Sylvia, that looks beautiful. Then my mom. And my mom didn't text congratulations. She didn't text you look happy. She texted, Why didn't you tell us it was nice? I stared at the screen. Mark was next to me on the couch. He looked over and said, Read it out loud. I did. He made a sound like a laugh, but bitter. I typed back, Nice? My mom immediately called. I didn't want to answer. But I did because I wanted to hear her explain this. She went straight into it like I was the problem. Sylvia, she said, those pictures, you made it look like some celebrity thing. Why didn't you tell us it was like that? I said, I did tell you. I told you where it was. I told you the flights were $400. She scoffed. You didn't tell us it was. Luxury. I felt my voice get sharp. So you would have come if it looked expensive enough. No, she snapped. Don't twist my words. I laughed again. Short. Angry. You flew to Dubai. I said. For Ava's bachelorette. Silence. Then. That was different. I said, how? My mom's tone shifted into that familiar righteous anger. Because Ava needed support, she said. It was a big moment for her. It was a party, I said. And your wedding was… What? She shot back. A vacation? That hit. Because it was meant to. Like my marriage wasn't real unless it happened in the way she approved. I said, it was my wedding. She ignored that and went into the next part. The part where she wanted something. So, she said, your father and I were talking. We think you should do a reception here. Like a real one. For family. I blinked. You didn't come to my wedding. I said slowly. We couldn't, she said quickly. But you can still include us. Include you. After you excluded me, I said, we're not doing another wedding. My mom huffed. So you can fly your friends to paradise, but you can't do one dinner here? I didn't fly them. I said, they paid for themselves. Because they wanted to be there. Then she said it. The sentence that made something inside me go quiet and cold. Well, she said, if it's so easy for everyone to pay for themselves, then you can help us with the costs. You know your father and I aren't young. We're not rich like you. Rich. Me, the photographer who still checks her bank app before buying fancy cheese. I said, you spent $6,000 each to go to Dubai. My mom snapped. Don't you dare count our money. I said, you counted mine first. She started listing things. Old things. Things parents do when they want to guilt you into compliance. We raised you. We helped you when you were starting out. We let you live here after college. I said, I paid rent. She talked over me. And after what you spent, she said, it would be fair if you contributed to family things. Ava is saving for a house. She's under so much pressure. You could help. There it was. It wasn't about my wedding. It was about my money. My mom didn't want to attend my wedding. My mom wanted to attend the version of my wedding that proved I had resources, so she could redirect those resources to Ava. I looked at Mark. He was very still. He said softly, don't let her. My mom was still talking. Sylvia, you're being selfish, she said. You always do this. You act like you're the only one who matters. I felt my hands shaking. I said, you told me you weren't coming because $400 was too expensive. It was, she yelled. But Dubai wasn't? I yelled back. She started crying. Not real crying. You're attacking me, she said, after everything I've done. I took a breath, and I realized this conversation was never going to turn into my mom suddenly understanding. So I stopped trying to convince her. I said very clearly, I'm done being the one you guilt. I'm done begging you to care. My mom went quiet. Then she said in this low, hateful voice, so you're choosing strangers over your own family? I said, no. I'm choosing people who choose me back. She inhaled sharply like I slapped her. Then she hissed, fine, don't come crying to me when you need us. I didn't even hesitate. I said, I haven't needed you in years. And then I replied to her original text, the one that started all of this. Mom, why didn't you tell us it was nice? Me, because you didn't care until you thought you missed out on something expensive. Then, I turned my phone off. Turning my phone off felt like stepping into silence after years of noise. At first it was peaceful. Then it was terrifying. Because even when your family treats you badly, they still live in your head. Their voices become your inner narrator. I could already hear my mom saying, you're overreacting. I could hear Ava whining, why are you making this about money? I could hear my dad doing his favorite thing, nothing. I turned my phone back on the next morning. I had 17 missed calls from mom, 6 from dad, 9 from Ava, a voicemail from my aunt that started with, I'm not taking sides, but the most useless sentence in the world. And a message in the family group chat. My mom had posted one of my wedding photos, the Overwater Bungalow one. Caption, proud of our Sylvia. Beautiful wedding. Wish we could have been there. I stared at it like it was a crime scene. Mark came up behind me and said, that is insane. I said, she's rewriting it. Because that's what my mom does. If she looks bad, she edits the story until she doesn't. Then Ava texted me privately. Ava, why are you being so mean to mom? Ava, she's been crying all night. Ava, you embarrassed us. Yes, she said parents, like she's included. I typed, you are embarrassing, you went to Dubai. She replied, that was different. It was like talking to a wall that learned one phrase. Then my dad finally texted, Dad, call your mother. Fix this. No congrats. No, you looked beautiful. Just fix this. I didn't call. Instead, I did something I've never done in my life. I opened my banking app. I went through old transfers. Because my mom's favorite trick is acting like she's done everything for me, when the reality is I've quietly been the family emergency fund for years. Car repairs for my parents? Me. Loan for Ava's apartment deposit when she just needed a little help? Me. Ava's small credit card crisis? Me. I found the numbers and I screenshotted them. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted proof for myself, so I wouldn't gaslight myself later. I wrote a message in the group chat. Short paragraphs, no fancy language, just facts. Mom posted my wedding photo like she supported it. She didn't. We invited you. Flights were $400. You said you couldn't afford it. 2 months later, you flew to Ava's Bachelorette in Dubai. You spent around $6,000 each. I'm not discussing different. It's not different. It's favoritism. Then I added, and since money keeps being brought up, I'm done paying for Ava's life. I attached 3 screenshots, transfers labeled Ava deposit, Ava emergency, mom car repair. I ended it with, I'm happy. I'm married. I'm not reopening this. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with respect. The group chat exploded. My aunt, Sylvia, this is private. My cousin, Omi. My mom, how dare you. Ava, you are psycho. My dad, stop this now. Mom called right away. I didn't pick up. She texted, delete that. You're humiliating us. I wrote back, no, you humiliated yourselves. Then she went nuclear. She texted Mark, my husband. Tell Sylvia she's acting like a brat. She thinks she's better than everyone. Mark showed me. Want me to respond? No, I said. Block her. He did. Next, Mom started messaging my friends from Instagram. Tasha sent me a screenshot. Mom, she's sensitive. We couldn't afford travel and she's punishing us. Tasha, flights were $400. Dubai wasn't. Don't contact me again. Then Mom tried the health guilt. My blood pressure is high because of this. Mark said, she's weaponizing your empathy. So I replied, please see a doctor. I'm not discussing this. Ava sent a long rant about gratitude. I answered, I'm not your second parent. Then I blocked her. Dad showed up at my apartment, angry, demanding I fix it. I told him, get out. He left, slamming the door. I was shaking, but lighter. For once, I wasn't negotiating my dignity.